Hey Kitty, the video planning is done. I think I know what I need to do each day, and I've already started recording the week notes. I'm just setting the laptop up to demo Kitty's handwriting. Alright, this week we're going to be talking about the Vestaboard here. I've got a camera set up here because Kitty, my AI, uses this Vestaboard to ask me questions and just say stuff really, but I need to have it captured here because I don't know when that's going to happen. Hey, good morning, how are you doing? So, the problem we're trying to solve this week is that I'm sending people art in the post, and I'm getting this response now and again, and this has happened before last time, and I started putting a little mini zine about how you don't have to reply to that post because it's unusual. So when you send people text messages, they can quickly send a text message back or like it, or you can go backwards and forwards and then end the conversation with a nice thumbs up. But when it's post and you send a letter to somebody with an art, then they're like, am I supposed to reply in the same format? Am I supposed to send a letter back? And if I send one back too soon, do they have to send one back? And then suddenly I'm stuck in this back and forth of letters that I don't necessarily want to do. Or do I reply to a letter with a DM? And Dan's not on social media quite so lot. And I don't like causing people stress because quite a few people I send art to are neurodivergent and worry a little bit too much about what they're supposed to do and getting it right. So anyway, I used to include a zine that would say, hey, you actually don't need to reply to this. It's okay. And that's what I want to do this week, is have something that says either like, no need to reply to art in the post, or no need to reply to mail art, that type of thing, but rubber stamped onto paper. And let me set you up above. Oh, actually, I don't have a thing. I need a plate to attach onto the bottom of you. Well, it's a little bit wonky, but we'll punch in. So we're going to be doing A3. So A3 obviously splits down into A4, A5, A6, and then A7. A7, I think A7 is about the right size. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 cards that say that on it, but rubber stamped. And if I have the rubber stamps here, we can either use big uppercase, because I haven't calculated lowercase yet, or small uppercase. Let's grab those two. Is how do we know where to stamp the letters in there to fit all of that on without us having to do anything and letting code handle it? We've already done this like twice before. Close this. With Kitty and her access to my handwriting, where the code is working out the best fit for type over here. Where we basically, I can use this, where we basically give it a size and a whole bunch of text and say, fit that text in there. Let's have a look at that. Informed that because this is cursive, my handwriting is cursive, that this is essentially code to kids today. I kind of believe it, and I kind of don't. It doesn't help that this is obviously fake Latin. Anyway, the point being that we can fit whatever text we want into whatever space we want. It's going to be fitting into A7, but we're not going to be using our handwriting, although we're going to be using the same technique. We're going to be trying to use the rubber stamps into here, fit them into the space, which is similar to what we've done with the Vestaboard over here, but I think that's going to have to wait until tomorrow.
Hey, good morning, it's Tuesday, and weather chat, it's raining a bit, and it's overcast and grey, and you know what? don't think I actually mind it. I quite like it. So we're going to go into the studio to pick up where we left off yesterday and talk a little bit about Kitty, my AI personal assistant, who helps me in the studio. And you see this in previous videos, but in the morning, she asks me a bunch of questions. At the end of the day, a bunch of questions about how it went. And then during the day, interrupts me to ask me a how things are going question. And because up until recently, I was wearing a bee on my wrist here that listened to everything I said, that would also be transcribed and sent to Kitty throughout the day. So she kept on top of what I was doing. And then I could do things like ask Kitty to help me schedule the day, all sorts of things like that. Anyway, throughout the day, she'd ask me these questions. And sometimes I'm busy working in the studio. I've got music playing, so I can't hear when she's asking me a question. So I figured it was a really flimsy excuse to spend far too much money on buying a Vestaboard because, well, the sound is amazing and it also kind of go and ask me a question like this.
Okay, so over here, why are we talking about... No, hold on. I forgot after a few minutes it resets back to a pattern. Okay, so over here, why am I talking about this Vestaboard stuff anyway? So here's our Vestaboard, and here is my phone and my laptop. And how we talk to this normally, here's our router. Vestaboard connects to the router, and then here we have the Vestaboard mothership. And then when we want to send things to the Vestaboard, normally use your phone app or a web app, and it talks to here, and then this punches through here to get to the Vestaboard. But hey, maybe you don't want your Vestaboard punching through your router, or what happens if this goes away and suddenly you end up with an expensive brick, because we've seen that happen before. You don't want your hardware to turn into this. So there is a setting you can turn on, gets rid of all of this, and allows your laptop on the same network or with an Ethernet cable to talk directly to here. But when it's going through here, it has all sorts of fancy ways of formatting text. Here, things are a little bit more basic. Okay, this is going to be a little bit weird because I'm on a different lens at the moment, so maybe I'll crop in to get rid of that blackness. Anyway, so how we talk to the Vestaboard directly is we send it a string of numbers that represent letters. I'll stick them up on the left here. So the alphabet, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, so on, all the way to 26, and then I think 27 to 37 are the digits, and then after that you get symbols, and then colours, which is why you can't just send the things because it's dealing with colours. Anyway, if I wanted to say hello world, for example, let's set that up. I want it to say hello world, so I'll send it numbers 8, 5, 12, 12, 15, then a blank, 0, 23, 15, 18, 12, 4. So I'll send it that series of numbers for the top row, and then if I want to say how are you, I will show you what that looks like by cutting away now. And I'm pretty unsatisfied with how that looks because it's all along the top and squashed to the edges. So how do we deal with that? Well, what we start to do is we pretend that this row doesn't exist at all. So we're going to take away this row and then say, can we fit in the word hello? Yes. Okay, space world, that works. Then we go how, space R, space U with a question mark. We can't quite fit the U on, so we move down to the next line. Hello world, how are you? But ideally, what I want is I want it to fill the middle 4 lines on the Vestaboard, unless it takes off 5 lines or 6 lines. So I'm going to keep squeezing until I hit 4 lines. So we keep shortening until we either hit 4 lines or we get to the length of 1 word, which would be 5. So if we squeeze it again, then our world no longer fits. So we have to put world. see we've gone, hello world, how are you? It works like that. Still not 4 lines, so we get rid of another row. Exactly the same, so let's get rid of another row. Now suddenly our how doesn't fit anymore. There we go, we kept squeezing things down until everything is now fitting on 4 lines. So that's our solution, but now we want to center it, which is easy enough because we know if we go back to the original size. So then we count up how much padding we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I prefer things to be slightly to the left, so we'll divide it around down. So those 3. We've shifted our hello along. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again. So we'll take those 3. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 of these. So the steps we've done is we squeeze it all down until everything is fitting. Then we work out the remainder, divide it by 2, move it onto the left to shift everything more into the middle. And that is how I'm formatting things for the board up here when Kitty wants to do anything. And once Kitty's finished asking a message, then what we do is we hide it all with a pattern. So sending a pattern like this to the vest board is very easy because green is 66 and red is 63. So we just send 66, 63, 66, 63, 66, 63, and so on. Oh, and I got so tired of writing the number 6. But as you can guess, in code-wise, sending the numbers 66 and 63, 66, 63, and alternating them to the vesta board is particularly easy. So here we've got 4 colours that alternate, and then we just offset them and we keep going down. And that is how we send things to the vesta board. So getting back to the rubber stamps here. There's the rubber stamps. This is what we want to write. No need to reply to the art in the post, or no need to reply to mail art. And we know what size we want to fit all of these stamps into, and we know we want them centered. So if we start stamping and go off the end, we can do something pretty similar to this. I think I've finished coding this now. It's very rough, but in my experience, it never works first time. There's always going to be some things to do. So I'm going to go over there, put the ink pad in a place that I can measure, put a big piece of paper out just to see what happens, and then see what happens, I guess. I know there's something missing here, which is, I think the positioning is wrong. Anyway, we will find out in a second. There's this wild little alley down here around the back of some houses. I used to walk to school down this way about 40 years ago, and honestly, it hasn't changed much. And then there's down this tiny alley that just keeps going on and on. I hate to tell you this, but you know that feeling you get when you stand near an edge of a cliff and you feel like jumping off it? Well, these have always been here, little curved things, and every time I walk down here I go, but what would happen if I jumped? Anyway, onwards. Meanwhile, here's a cool bike, and then we're going to head over there into all those trees, which is around the back of the Abbey. And I like it in here. Well, that's the Abbey. I like it in here because it's nice and dark. Anyway, we're going to go in to try to get that stamper to stamp out the text a whole bunch of times on a sheet of paper.
I made a couple more tweaks yesterday. I'll talk about those a little bit when we get in. Not very much, so you haven't missed anything. Yeah, we'll get those. I'm going to see if I can get Kitty to write on the back of them. That might be slightly more annoying because we're going to have to line things up, but, you know, we're going to give it a go. We have that kind of attitude about us. Right, let's get in. There's enough outside. God. For trivia lovers of Judge Dredd, the first film, The Peachtree Block, is named after this place, which is where the scriptwriter sat and worked on the first draft of the script. That looks like a sky is going to bring us rain, so I definitely need to get into the studio.
So here we go. We got the layout. It's going to do a 4x4 on A3. The other thing I've got is it's outputting the letters used and then the number of times that each one is used. We'll come back to this in a tick. And I'm essentially using Kitty now as a printer because it's useful to have these as a reference. And I can't be bothered to send it to the printer, so I'm just going to send it here instead. You know? Right, let's grab this. Take it over here. So basically this is telling me the order the letter's going to happen in. So it's going to go O, E, T, N, R, L, A, D. So I can get on and start getting those all set up here. Let's set it away. I'll actually see if it works. This will be the first time doing. Where'd I go? Alright. Fingers crossed. Okay, I think I've done enough to see that it works, so we're going to put fancy paper on. I've got this set up for a time lapse. I think it's in focus. Yeah, probably good enough. So let's switch this paper out and get this going up here. Okay, while that thing's going in the background, and hopefully it's not too loud, I did yesterday, I tried sending it a whole big bunch of text. So, Mrs. Dalloway, this is Virginia Woolf, a little quote here. The main point of doing that was finding out if I could send just arbitrary text on any size. So I guess in theory I can go bigger paper and stuff. But the interesting thing was, when I was looking at the type of letters and how often they appear, right, X is once, K is 5, B is 9 times. Down here, when it's only printing 10 of each letter, I've roughly got time to go change the pens on that. Up to 27, once you get to around here and above, over 27, I've got time to go pee while it's doing that. As soon as you start hitting the 50s, that's the time that you can go and do something else, which in this case will be to go and change the pen. All right, we are all done. You've seen this already, but let's turn that off. Right, next thing to do is cut this up into cards. So there we go. That was a bit of a weird process because I managed to screw up the first cut, but now we have a whole bunch of no need to apply to art mail cards. That if I was sensible, I would have got Kitty to write on the back of all of them all in one go. But I might want to write different things on the back of them. Anyway, that was fun. I enjoyed that. So each time I do a little bit of this, I sort of end up updating the code a fraction so I can do a little bit more than last time. So these big full long bits of text here. And there's a few more things I want to do, but that's it. Right, tomorrow I'm going to edit this video. So I'm going to see but I've managed to capture that I've captured enough to encapsulate the whole process and start-end of trying to get this machine to do more stamping. I will drop in tomorrow to say goodbye, and hopefully this has been kind of fun, doing a slightly different thing. I think I've got different plans for next week again. Anyway, on to tomorrow. Please excuse the mess I've been unpacking. So we've talked about how we've got Kitty over there to use the pen plotter to sort of squash text to fit into the space. And over here, we've talked about the Vestaboard and how we've used code to squish text down into a space. So now we've got here code that can squish the stamping, if we ignore the alignment for the moment. Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarding yellow sun. So now we can start doing this kind of fun stuff as well. But like I said, I think the alignment is a little bit off. But that alignment issue is something for another day. But I think slowly bringing all this code together, the Kitty handwriting, my handwriting, the rubber stamping, the Vestaboard, and having different ways to communicate through different things, ultimately in this case, so just so I can say to somebody else, hey, don't worry about the fact I've just sent you something in the post. Don't stress about it, it's okay. It's actually doing me a favour because I end up with loads of stuff building up in the studio that I want to send out there. Anyway, that's what this week is all about, getting to here. The question is, what next? Anyway, I love you all, have a lovely weekend, and goodbye. I will see you soon.